Zero in on. To focus or concentrate on a specific aspect or detail in research. Synonym for zero in on. Focus on, concentrate on, narrow down to, zoom in on, home in on, target. After reviewing the feedback, they were able to zero in on the key issues affecting customer satisfaction. The researchers decided to zero in on the key variables affecting the experiment. During the research phase, they decided to zero in on specific demographics to gather more targeted data. Sort out. To organize or arrange information collected during research. Synonym for sort out. Organize, arrange, systematize, classify, order, arrange systematically. It took several meetings to sort out the details of the project and allocate tasks to team members. After conducting interviews, it was time to sort out the data for analysis. With the deadline approaching, they needed to sort out the data collected during the experiment and analyze the results. Dig into. To investigate thoroughly or delve deeply into a subject. Synonym for dig into. Investigate, delve into, probe, explore, examine closely, research thoroughly. The researchers were eager to dig into the historical archives for more information. As part of the research project, the team needed to dig into historical archives to gather relevant data. The investigative journalist decided to dig into the company's financial records to uncover any irregularities. Rule out. To eliminate or exclude a possibility or factor from consideration. Synonym for rule out. Exclude, dismiss, eliminate, reject, disregard, dismiss as a possibility. After conducting extensive tests, the doctors were able to rule out any serious medical conditions. After analyzing the data, they could rule out certain variables as irrelevant. The forensic team carefully examined the evidence to rule out any possibility of foul play. Draw from. To gather information or inspiration from a particular source. Synonym for draw from. Extract from, utilize, harness, tap into, employ, utilize the resources of. The study drew from various case studies to provide a comprehensive analysis. The designer drew from nature's color palette when creating the artwork for the exhibition. The author drew inspiration from her own life experiences when writing her latest novel. Account for. To explain or justify the presence or influence of something in research. Synonym for account for. Justify, explain, rationalize, attribute, clarify, make sense of. The historian had to account for conflicting accounts of the event when writing the historical analysis. In the research paper, the scientists needed to account for the fluctuations in temperature during the experiment. The researcher needed to account for outliers in the data analysis. Zoom in on. To focus closely on a specific detail or element in research. Synonym for zoom in on. Focus closely on, zero in on, target, concentrate on, direct attention to, fixate on. The microscope allowed the scientists to zoom in on individual cells. The microscope allowed the scientists to zoom in on the microscopic organisms present in the water sample. During the investigation, the detective decided to zoom in on the suspect's movements on the day of the crime. Key into: to align or synchronize with a particular aspect or factor in research. Synonym for: key into, align with, sync with, harmonize with, correspond with, match with, adapt to. The software developer keyed into user feedback to improve the functionality of the application. The market analyst keyed into emerging consumer trends to predict future market demands. The research findings key into the larger trend observed in previous studies. Factor in: to include or consider a specific variable or element in research. Synonym for: factor in, include, consider, take into account, take into consideration, incorporate, allow for. When analyzing the data, the researchers needed to factor in the impact of external variables on the results. The financial advisor had to factor in inflation rates when creating the investment portfolio. Researchers must factor in external influences that may affect the study outcomes. Home and on: to concentrate efforts on a specific area or detail in research. Synonym for: home and on, focus on, zero in on, concentrate on, target, fixate on, direct attention towards. The interviewer homed in on the candidate's relevant experience during the job interview. The search and rescue team homed in on the distress signal to locate the stranded hikers. The team decided to home in on the genetic factors influencing the disease. Phase out: to gradually eliminate or reduce the influence of a variable in research. Synonym for: phase out, eliminate gradually, reduce gradually, withdraw gradually, scale down, wind down, decrease gradually. The government announced plans to phase out coal-powered plants in order to reduce carbon emissions. The company decided to phase out the use of plastic packaging in favor of more sustainable alternatives. The study aimed to phase out the use of outdated research methods. Tap into: to access or make use of a valuable resource or pool of information. Synonym for: tap into, access, utilize, make use of, exploit, harness, capitalize on. Researchers can tap into existing databases for relevant data. The startup was able to tap into a new market by offering innovative products tailored to specific consumer needs. The marketing team tapped into social media platforms to reach a wider audience. Track down: to locate or find specific information or data in research. Synonym for: track down, locate, find, discover, hunt down, pinpoint, trace. The researchers needed to track down historical documents to validate their hypothesis. The researchers had to track down the original source of a crucial statistic. It took weeks to track down the missing data necessary for the analysis. Piece together: to assemble or construct information from various sources in research. Synonym for: piece together, assemble, construct, compile, gather, put together, create. The team worked to piece together the timeline of historical events. Researchers aimed to piece together fragments of evidence to form a comprehensive understanding of the phenomenon. The detective worked tirelessly to piece together the events leading up to the crime. Breakdown. To analyze or dissect complex information into smaller, more manageable parts. Synonym for breakdown. Analyze, dissect, deconstruct, decompose, separate, divide. Scientists must break down complex equations into simpler components for better comprehension. The team decided to break down the problem into manageable segments for easier troubleshooting. The researchers needed to break down the data into categories for analysis. Tune into. To become attuned or sensitive to a particular aspect or trend in research. Synonym for tune into. Pay attention to, tune into, be aware of, be sensitive to, be attuned to, take note of. Researchers must tune in to subtle changes in behavior to draw accurate conclusions. Researchers must tune in to changes in public opinion during the study. Analysts need to tune in to emerging trends to stay ahead of the competition. Draw on. To utilize or make use of existing knowledge or theories in research. Synonym for draw on. Utilize, use, employ, harness, leverage, exploit. Historians often draw on primary sources to reconstruct past events accurately. The study drew on classical psychological theories to inform its methodology. Psychologists may draw on previous studies to inform their research methodology. Run through. To quickly review or examine information in research. Synonym for run through. Review quickly, examine briefly, scan, go over, look through, check out. Before finalizing the report, the team decided to run through the data one last time. Let's run through the checklist to ensure that all necessary steps have been completed. Before finalizing the report, the researchers ran through the key findings. Phase in. To gradually introduce or implement a new element or approach in research. Synonym for phase in. Introduce gradually, roll out, implement slowly, integrate over time, introduce incrementally, gradually introduce. The company plans to phase in the new software gradually to minimize disruptions. The team decided to phase in a more rigorous methodology for future studies. Researchers aim to phase in the new methodology over the next few months. Check off. To mark or confirm the completion of specific tasks or steps in research. Synonym for check off. Mark off, tick off, cross off, verify completion, confirm, tally. As you finish each section, be sure to check it off on your progress tracker. The researchers could check off each stage as they progressed through the project. After completing each task, the team can check off the corresponding item on the list. Level up your English. Master vocabulary, idioms, and phrasal verbs with fun quizzes. Translate meanings into 104 languages. Download now. Link in the description. Please like and subscribe to our channel.